to the second CROAKIVERSARY anniversary. It's been a wonderful 2 years, and we are essentially coming here tonight to give you a little variety performance to showcase some of the wonderful people in CROAKIVERSARY and also celebrate the past 2 years of theatre and just general fun times. So, the first thing that we have on our programme is Act 4, Scenes 4 and 5 from Coriolanus by the one and only William Shakespeare, who we seem to come across quite a lot on this channel. So, without further ado, I am going to hand over to our wonderful narrator.
Coriolanus, Act 4, Scene 4, Antium. In the city of Antium, the disgraced Roman general Caius Marcius Coriolanus stands, branded a traitor through political scheming and banished. This city that he himself recently slew many soldiers from at the Battle of Corioli. He is dressed in mean apparel, disguised and muffled.
A goodly city is this Antium, city. 'Tis I that made thy widows. Many an heir of these fair edifices for my wars have I heard groan and drop. Then know me not, lest that thy wives with spits and boys with stones in puny battle slay me.
A random citizen walks by.
Save you, sir.
And you?
Direct me, if it be your will. Where great Aufidius lies? Is he in Antium?
He is, and feasts the nobles of the state at his house this night.
Which is his house, beseech you?
This, here before you.
Thank you, sir. Farewell.
The citizen acknowledges the farewell and continues on his way.
O world, thy slippery turns. Friends now fast sworn, whose double bosoms seem to wear one heart, whose house, whose bed, whose meal and exercise are still together, who twin, as were in love, inseparable, shall within this hour, on a decision of a doit, break out to bitterest enmity. So, fellest foes, whose passions and whose plots have broken their sleep to take the one the other by some chance, some trick not worth an egg, shall grow dear friends and interjoin their issues. So with me, my birthplace I hate, and my loves upon this enemy town. I'll enter. If he slay me, he does fair justice. If he gives me way, I'll do his country service.
Coriolanus approaches the door. Scene 5. In the entry hall of Aufidius's house. Inside General Aufidius's house, there's the sound of music and merriment. A serving man rushes through the entry hall, shouting quickly in passing.
Wine, wine, what service is here? I think our fellows are asleep.
Another serving man runs through in the opposite direction, shouting.
Where's Chorus? My master calls for him. Chorus!
He leaves the hall as quickly as he entered. Cautiously, Coriolanus enters the house, his face obscured by a hood and a scarf over his lower face.
A goodly house. The feast smells well, but I appear not like a guest.
The first serving man re-enters the entry hall, confused at the appearance of the stranger.
What would you have, friend? Whence are you? There's no place for you. Pray, go to the door.
He does a brief motion towards the door and leaves the entry hall once again.
I have deserved no better entertainment in being Coriolanus.
The second serving man re-enters, looking annoyed.
Whence are you, sir? Has the porter his eyes in his head? That he gives interest to such companions. Pray, get you out.
Away!
Away! Get you away!
Now thou troublesome.
Are you so brave? I'll have you talked with Anon.
A third serving man enters the room to see what the commotion is about. Following close behind is the first serving man.
Fellow's this?
Strange one as ever I looked on. I cannot get him out of this house. Prithee, call my master to him.
The first serving man leaves for good, satisfied to let the other two handle with the intruder.
What have you do to here, fellow? Pray you, avoid the house.
Let me but stand. I will not hurt your hearth.
What are you?
A gentleman.
A marvellous poor one?
True. So I am.
Pray you, poor gentleman, take up some other station. Here's no place for you. Pray you, avoid, come.
The first serving man moves towards Coriolanus in a threatening manner, as to force him out the door.
Follow your function, go, and batten on cold bits.
Coriolanus pushes him away with great force, knocking him to the ground. His infamous temper is starting to gnaw at him, and his patience is running thin.
What, you will not? Prithee, tell my master what a strange guest he has here.
And I shall.
The second serving man leaves the entry hall to do what he was asked. The third serving man gets up, looking anxious.
Where dwellest thou?
Under the canopy. Under the canopy.
Under the canopy?
Aye.
Where's that?
In the city of kites and crows.
In a city of kites and crows? What an ass it is! Then thou dwellest with doors too.
No, I serve not thy master.
How, sir, do you meddle with my master?
Aye, 'tis an honester service than to meddle with thy mistress. Thou prattest and prattest. Serve with thy trencher. Hence!
Coriolanus slaps him across the face. The serving man is appalled and frightened, and he immediately leaves the room. In the same moment, Ophides enters the hall with the second serving man in tow.
Where is this fellow?
Here, sir. I'd have beaten him like a dog, but for disturbing the lords within.
The second serving man leaves the hall. The generals are alone.
Whence comest thou? What wouldst thou? Thy name? Why speakst not? Speak, man, what's thy name?
If Tullus.
Coriolanus stops mid-sentence and lowers his hood and scarf, revealing his face.
Not yet thou knowest me, and seeing me dost not think me for the man I am. Necessity commands me name myself.
What is thy name?
A name unmusical to the Volscians' ears, and harsh in sound to thine.
Say, what's thy name? Thou hast a grim appearance, and thy face bears a command in it. Though thy tackle's torn, thou show'st a noble vessel. What's thy name?
Prepare thy brow to frown. Knowest thou me yet?
I know thee not. Thy name?
My name is Caius Marcius, who hath done to thee particularly and to the vultures great hurt and mischief. Thereto witness may my surname Coriolanus.
Ophides gasps. Coriolanus pauses for a moment and looks away.
The painful service, the extreme dangers, and the drops of blood shed for my thankless country are requited but with that surname. A good memory and witness of the malice and displeasure which thou shouldst bear me. Only that name remains. The cruelty and envy of the people permitted by our dastard nobles, who has forsook me and hath devoured the rest, and suffered me by the voices of slaves to be whooped out of Rome.
Coriolanus gets down on his knees, hands placed firmly on his knees, looking the very picture of submission, looking at the ground.
Now this extremity has brought me to thy hearth. Not out of hope, mistake me not, to save my life, for if I had feared death of all the men in the world, I would have avoided thee, but in mere spite, to be full quit of those my banishers, stand I before thee here. Then, if thou hast a heart of work in thee, then that wilt revenge thine own particular wrongs, and stop those maims of shame seen through thy country, speed thee straight, and make my misery serve thy turn.
Coriolanus looks up at Ophidius.
So use it, that my revengeful services may prove as benefits to thee, for I will fight against my cankered country with the spleen of all the underfiends. But if so be thou darest not this, and that to prove more fortune thou tired, then in my word I am also longer to live most weary, and present my throat to thee and to thy ancient malice, which not to cut would show thee but a fool, since I have ever followed thee with hate, drawn tons of blood out of thy country's breast, and cannot live but to thy shame, unless it be to do thee service.
Coriolanus leans his head back, exposing his neck to the man who was his enemy, and he waits. Ophidius pulls a dagger from his belt and walks slowly towards the kneeling Coriolanus. He plays with the dagger, staying silent, until he's standing only a few feet away from the man, looking down at him.
Oh, Marcius, Marcius, each word thou hast spoke hath withered from my heart's root of ancient envy.
He walks behind Coriolanus, grabbing him by the jaw and placing the dagger on his throat.
If Jupiter should from yond cloud speak divine things, and say, "'Tis true," I'll not believe them more than thee, all noble Marcius.
The dagger swipes through the air, mere inches from Coriolanus' throat. Coriolanus grabs his throat as if to check that it's still whole. Ophidius joyously parades about the room.
Let me twine my arms about that body, where against my grained ash 100 times have broke and scarred the moon with splinters.
Ophidius falls to his knees next to Coriolanus, grabbing him by the shoulders before hugging him close for a moment. Then once again grabbing him by the shoulders and looking him in the eye. Coriolanus is stunned, eyes wide, and mouth slightly agape.
Here I clip the anvil of my sword, and do contest as hotly and as nobly with thy love, as ever in ambitious strength I did contend against thy valor.
Ophidius's face grows soft, an expression that looks like very foreign on so battle-hardened face. Coriolanus looks tense.
Know thou first, I love the maid I married. Never man sighed through a breath, but that I see thee here, thou noble thing. More dances my rapt heart than when I first my wedded mistress saw bestride my threshold.
The men get up, standing closely.
Why, thou Mars, I tell thee, we have a power on foot, and I had purpose once more to hew thy target from thy brawn, or lose my arm for it. Thou hast beat me out 12 several times, and I have nightly since dreamt of encounters twixt thyself and me. We have been down together in my sleep, unbuckling helms, feasting each other's throat, and waked half dead with nothing. worthy Marcius. Had we no quarrel else to Rome, but that thou art thence banished, we would muster all from 12 to 70, and pouring war into the bowels of ungrateful Rome like a bold flood overbearer. Oh, come, go in, and take our friendly senators by the hands, who now are here, taking their leaves of me, who am prepared against your territories, though not for Rome itself.
You bless me, gods!
Really finally hits Coriolanus, and a weak smile crosses his lips.
Therefore, most absolute sir, if thou wilt have the leading of thy own revenges, take the one half of my commission.
Ophidius then removes his cuirass, handing it to Coriolanus, who takes it with an air of awe as he holds the armor.
And sit down, as best thou art experienced, since thou knowest thy country's strength and weakness, thine own ways, whether to knock against the gates of Rome, or rudely visit them in parts remote, to fright them ere destroy. But come in, let me commend thee first to those that shall say yea to thy desires. 1,000 welcomes, and more a friend than ever an enemy. Yet, Marcius, that was much. Your hand, most welcome.
Ophidius once again embraces Coriolanus tightly before letting go, and arms slung around his shoulders as he leads him towards the door to the feasting hall.
Okay. Thank you very much to everybody involved in that wonderful scene. Extremely intense way to start off our evening of merriment and celebration. And so next we move on to our monologue, and this is a particularly momentous monologue because this is the first Croakspear monologue, or indeed the first Croakspear performance that is not in English. This monologue is going to be in Russian. It will be To Be or Not to Be from Hamlet by Shakespeare, and it's going to be performed by the wonderful Dasha. So, go ahead and take it away.
Быть или не быть? Вот в чем вопрос. Достойно ли смиряться под ударами судьбы? Или надо оказать сопротивление и в смертной схватке с целым морем бед покончить с ними? Умереть, забыться и знать, что этим обрываешь цепь сердечных мук и тысячи лишений, присущих телу. Это ли не цель желанная? Скончаться, сном забыться, уснуть и видеть сны? Вот и ответ. Какие сны в том смертном сне приснятся, когда покров земного чувства снят? Вот в чем разгадка. Вот что удлиняет несчастьем нашим жизнь на столько лет. А то кто снес бы унижение века, неправду угнетателей, вельмож, заносчивость, отринутое чувство, нескорый суд и более всего насмешки недостойных над достойным, когда так просто сводит все концы, удар кинжала. Кто бы согласился, кряхтя под ношей жизненной плестись, когда бы неизвестность после смерти, боязнь страны, откуда ни один не возвращался, не склоняла воли, мириться лучше со знакомым злом, чем бегством к незнакомому стремиться. Так всех нас в трусов превращает мысль, и вянет, как цветок, решимость наша в бесплодии умственного тупика. Так погибают замыслы с размахом, вначале обещавшие успех от долгих отлагательств. Но довольно. Офелия, о радость, помяни мои грехи в своих молитвах, нимфа.
Thank you very much, Dasha. That was amazing. Yeah, the chat is going wild. And yeah, it was great. So the next thing we are moving on to is something a little bit more modern. We don't just do Shakespeare, although he does seem to be our favourite bloke quite often. But what we have next is the Pantomimes introduction from the video game PATHOLOGIC 2.
So, it's all about trickery to you? Wherever have you come from?
No, I detest trickery. But if we ourselves are to suffer deception, our hands are no longer tied. Where are we?
Well, a muscular contraction is there, means we're already inside of him. This must be one of the ventricles right here.
What a silly place. It's stuffed. So it's not real for now? I don't think it has started yet.
No matter what it's made of, it's definitely struggling. We need to perform sectio transversalis. Cut the wall. There's no other way out. What else is there to do?
I know what to do. Those who favor hard logic and direct action are bound to be misguided. Only a miracle can set us free without us having to destroy something. And I can't do miracles, just let me.
Will you please be quiet? You're a liar and a thief. Who is going to believe you when you keep lying to yourself? The truth is my shepherd. Whatever happens, I will find answers, and justice will be restored. I will perform the operation. Medico morbo atibere.
Don't you go all bossy on me, clever cloaks. You will act justly, but your justice will blind you and become his demise. This calls for the gentle hand of a surgeon. Step aside, both of you.
Your gentle hands are used to killing, not giving life. You will inevitably do harm. As for Brainy, he has no regard for casualties at all. Neither of you knows compassion.
Yes, it seems unlikely that we'll get along well, but there's only one truth.
Any choice is right as long as it's willed. That's the truth of the matter.
Only the heart will show you the right choice. Stop thinking about yourselves. Think of the sick. He's in pain. I can't see it yet, but I can feel it.
It's not even a trap. It's a grave. Sub ipsum fumus sumus. Can't say I hold a soft spot for it.
I can see that. You are full of hate. Stuffed or not, it's breathing. I can heal it. It can be healed rather than killed.
You mean you won't become a killer? But you will. Mark my words, that's exactly what will happen. But I can avoid it.
No, we won't ever get along. I suggest we be on our way. The sooner, the better.
Off we go then?
Let's go. The clock is ticking.
Thank you, everybody, for that intriguing scene. And as the chat has been pointing out, this shows that we are in fact pro gamers here at CROAKIVERSARY. So yeah, hats off to all the gamers. So the last thing we are going to do before we take a short break is a short one-act play. So this play is called WURZEL-FLUMMERY, It is written by A.A. Milne, who also wrote Winnie the Pooh. I personally think WURZEL-FLUMMERY is the more important work than Winnie the Pooh, but some people might disagree with me on that. And yeah, it's a play that the server has a little bit of a soft spot for, especially for myself, so we're very happy to present it for you today.
WURZEL-FLUMMERY, a comedy in one act. Characters: Robert Crawshaw, Margaret Crawshaw, Viola Crawshaw, Richard Melliton, Dennis Clifton. Scene: Robert Crawshaw's townhouse, morning. It is a June day before the war in the morning room of Robert Crawshaw's townhouse. Entering it with our friend, the house agent, our attention would first be called to the delightful club fender around the fireplace. On one side of this is a Chesterfield sofa, comes out at right angles. In a corner of the sofa, Miss Viola Crawshaw is sitting deep in the Times. The house agent would hesitate to catalogue her, but we notice for ourselves before he points out a comfortable armchair opposite that she is young and pretty. In the middle of the room and facing the fireplace is a solid knee-hole writing table covered with papers and books for reference, and supported by a chair at the middle and another at the side. The rest of the furniture and the books and pictures around the walls we must leave until another time, for at this moment the door behind the sofa opens, and Richard Melliton comes in. He looks about 35, has a clean-shaven, intelligent face, and is dressed in a dark tweed suit. We withdraw hastily as he comes behind Viola and puts his hands over her eyes. 3 guesses who it is.
The Archbishop of Canterbury.
No.
The Archbishop of York.
Fortunately, that exhausts the archbishops. Now then, your last guess?
Richard Meryton, MP.
Wonderful. He kisses the top of her head lightly and goes round to the club fender, where he sits with his back to the fireplace. How did you know? He begins to fill a pipe.
Well, it couldn't have been Father.
No, I suppose not. Not just after breakfast, anyway. Anything in the paper?
There's a letter from Father pointing out that...
I never knew such a man as Robert for pointing out.
Anyhow, it's in big print.
It would be.
You are very cynical this morning, Dick.
The sausages were cold, dear.
Poor Dick. Oh, Dick, I wish you were on the same side as Father.
But he is on the wrong side. Surely I've told you that before. Violet, do you really think it would make a difference?
Well, you know what he said about you at Basingstoke the other day?
No, I don't really.
He said that your intellectual arrogance was only equalled by your spiritual instability. I don't quite know what it means, but it doesn't sound the sort of thing you want in a son-in-law.
Still, it was friendly of him to go right away to Basingstoke to say it. Anyhow, you don't believe it.
Of course not.
And Robert doesn't really.
Then why does he say it?
Now you're opening up very grave questions. The whole structure of the British Constitution rests upon Robert's right to say things like that in Basingstoke. But really, darling, we are very good friends. He's always asking my advice about things. He doesn't take it, of course, but he still asks it. And it's awfully good of him to insist on my staying here while my flat's been done up. I bless him for that. If it hadn't been for the last week, I should never have known you. You were just Viola, the girl I'd seen an odd times since she was a child. Now, oh, why won't you let me tell your father? I hate it like this.
Because I love you, Dick. And because I know Father. He would, as they say in novels, show you the door. And I want you this side of the door for a little bit longer.
I shall tell him before I go.
But not till then. That gives us 2 more days. You see, darling, it's going to take me all I know to get round him. You see, apart from politics, you're so poor. And father hates poor people.
Damn money.
I think that's what father means by spiritual instability.
Viola! He stands up and holds out his arms to her. She goes to him and, oh Lord, look out!
Matches?
Thanks very much. He lights his pipe as Robert Croshaw comes in. Croshaw is 45, but his closely trimmed mustache and whiskers, his inclination to stoutness, and the loud, old gentlemanly style in trousers, which he affects with his morning coat, make him look older and, what is more important, the pillar of the state, which he undoubtedly is.
Morning, Richard. Down at last?
Good morning. I did warn you, didn't I, that I was bad at breakfasts?
Viola, where's your mother?
I don't know, father. Do you want her?
I wish to speak to her.
All right, I'll tell her.
She goes out. Richard picks up the Times and sits down again.
Richard, why don't you get something to do?
My dear fellow, I only just finished breakfast.
I mean, generally. And apart, of course, from your work in the house.
I have something to do.
Oh, reviewing. I mean something serious. You should get a directorship or something in the city.
I hate the city.
Ah, there, my dear Richard, is the intellectual arrogance which I had to call attention to the other day at Basingstoke.
Yes, so while I was telling me.
You understand, my dear fellow, that I meant nothing personal. It is justly one of the proudest boasts of the Englishman that his political enmities are not allowed to interfere with his private friendships.
Oh, I shall go to Basingstoke myself one day. Enter Margaret. Margaret has been in love with Robert Croshaw for 25 years, the last 24 from habit. She is small, comfortable, and rather foolish. You would certainly call her a dear, but you might sometimes call her a poor dear.
Good morning, Mr. Meriton. I do hope your breakfast was all right.
Excellent, thank you.
That's right. Did you want me, Robert?
Yes. Richard, what are your plans?
Is he trying to get rid of me, Mrs. Croshaw?
Of course not. Are you, dear?
Perhaps we had better come into my room, Margaret. We can leave Richard here with the paper.
No, I am going.
Some particular business to discuss. If you aren't going out, I should like to consult you in a matter afterwards.
Right. He goes out.
Sit down, Margaret. I have some extraordinary news for you.
Yes, Robert.
This letter has just come by hand. 199 Lincoln's Inn Fields. Dear Sir, I have the pleasure to inform you that under the will of the late Mr. Anthony Clifton, you are a beneficiary to the extent of £50,000.
Robert!
Wait! A trifling condition is attached, namely that you should take the name of WURZEL-FLUMMERY?
Robert!
I have the honour to be your obedient servant, Dennis Clifton.
He folds the letter up and puts it away.
Robert, whoever is he? I mean, the one who's left you the money?
I have not the slightest idea, Margaret. Doubtless we shall find out before long. I have asked Mr. Dennis Clifton to come and see me.
Leaving you £50,000? Just fancy.
WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
We can have the second car now, dear, can't we? And what about moving? You know you always said you ought to be in a more central part. Mr. Robert Crusher, MP, Curzon Street sounds so much more cabinetty.
Mr. Robert WURZEL-FLUMMERY, MP of Curzon Street. I don't know what that sounds like.
I expect that's only a legal way of putting it, dear. That can't really expect us to change our name to WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
Yes, you didn't say that. I am sure you could talk the solicitor around. This Mr. Dennis Clifton. After all, it doesn't matter to him what we call ourselves. Write him one of your letters, dear.
You don't seem to apprehend the situation, Margaret.
Yes, I do, dear. This Mr.
Anthony Clifton?
Yes, he's left you £50,000, together with the name of WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
Wurzel... Oh, never mind.
Yes, well, you tell the solicitor that you'll take the £50,000, but you don't want the name. It's too absurd. When everybody knows of Robert Crusher MP, they expect you to call yourself WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
Yes, the point is that Mr. Clifton has left me the money on the condition that I change my name. If I don't take the name, I don't take the money.
But is that legal?
Perfectly. It is often done. People change their names on succeeding to some property.
I thought it was only when your name was Moses and you changed it to Tab Crusher.
WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
I wonder why he left you the money at all. Of course, it is very nice of him, but if you didn't know him, why do you think he did it?
I know no more than this letter. I suppose he had followed my career and was interested in it. And being a man with no relations, felt he could safely leave this money to me? No doubt WURZEL-FLUMMERY was his mother's maiden name, or the name of some other friend even dearer to him. He wished the name perpetuated, perhaps even recorded, not unworthily, in the history of our country, and made his will accordingly. In a way, it is kind of sacred trust.
Oh, then of course you'll accept it, dear.
It requires some consideration. I have my career to think about, my duty to my country.
Of course, dear. Money is a great help in politics, isn't it?
Money wisely spent is a help in any profession. The view of riches, which socialists and such like people profess to take, is entirely ill-considered. A rich man who spends his money thoughtfully is serving his country as nobly as anybody.
Yes, dear. Then you think we could have that second car and house Curzon Street?
We must not be led away. £50,000 properly invested is only £2,000 a year. When you've deducted income tax, and the tax on unearned income is extremely high just now.
Oh, but surely, if we have to call ourselves WURZEL-FLUMMERY, it would count as an end.
I fear not. Strictly speaking, all money is earned. Even if it is left to you by another, it is presumably left to you in recognition of certain outstanding qualities which you possess. But Parliament takes a different view. I do not for a moment say that £50,000 would not be welcome. £50 is certainly not to be sneezed at.
I should think not, indeed.
And without this preposterous condition attached, I should be pleased to accept this trust. And I would endeavour, Mr. Speaker. I would, Margaret, to carry it out to the best of my poor ability. But WURZEL-FLUMMERY?
You would soon get used to it, dear. I had to get used to the name of Croatia after I had been Debenham for 25 years. It is surprising how quickly it comes to you. I think I only signed my name, Margaret Debenham, once after I was married.
Cases are rather different, Margaret. Naturally, a woman who from her cradle looks forward to the day when she will change her name cannot have this feeling for the honour of his name, which every man feels. Such a feeling is naturally more present in my own case, since I have been privileged to make the name of Crawshaw, to some degree, well known. I might almost say famous.
I used to be called the beautiful Miss Debenham of Leamington. Everybody in Leamington knew of me, of course. I am very proud to be Mr. Robert Crozier.
In a way, it would mean beginning all over again. It is half the battle in politics to get your name before the public. Whoever is this man WURZEL-FLUMMERY, people will say.
Anyhow, dear, let us look on the bright side. £50,000 is £50,000.
It is, Margaret. And no doubt it is my duty to accept it. But, well, all I say is that a gentleman would have left it without any conditions. Or at least he would have merely expressed his wish that I should take the name without going so far as to enforce it. Then I could have looked at the matter all round in an impartial spirit.
The linen is marked RMC now. Of course, we should have that ultra. Do you think RMF would do, or would it have to be RMW-F?
Yes, there will be a good deal of that to attend to. I think, Margaret, I had better talk to Richard about this. Of course it would be absurd to refuse the money, but, well, I would like to have his opinion.
Do you think he would be very sympathetic, dear? He makes jokes about serious things like bishops and hunting, just as they weren't at all serious.
I wish to talk to him just to obtain a new point of view. I do not hold myself in the least bound to act on anything he says. I regard him as a constituent, Margaret.
Then I will send him to you.
Margaret, what do you really feel about it?
Just whatever you feel, Robert.
Thank you, Margaret. You are a good wife to me.
She goes out. Crawshaw goes to his desk and selects a Who is Who from a little pile of reference books on it. He walks around to his chair, sits down in it, and begins to turn the pages, murmuring names beginning with C to himself. As he gets near the place where he finds it, he murmurs, Clifton. That's funny, and closes the book. Evidently, the publishers have failed him. Enter Richard. Well, what's the news? Been left a fortune.
Yes, by a Mr. Anthony Clifton. I've never met him and I know nothing about him.
Not really. Well, I congratulate you. To them that have. But what on earth do you want my advice about?
There is a slight condition attached.
Oh,
The condition is that with this money, £50,000, I take the name of WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
what?
I said it quite distinctly. WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
Richard, in awed silence, walks over to the desk and stands looking down at the unhappy Croshaw. He throws out his left hand as if introducing him. Mr. Robert WURZEL-FLUMMERY, MP, one of the most prominent of our young parliamentarians. Oh, you... Oh, how to heavenly! He goes back to his seat, looks up and catches Crowshaw's eyes and breaks down altogether.
Shall we discuss it seriously, or shall we leave it?
How can we discuss a name like WURZEL-FLUMMERY seriously? Mr. WURZEL-FLUMMERY, in a few well-chosen words, seconded the motion. Sir, went on Mr. WURZEL-FLUMMERY. Oh, poor Robert.
You seem quite certain that I should take the money.
I am quite certain.
Would you take it?
Well, I wonder.
After all, as William Shakespeare says, what's in a name?
I can tell you something else that William Shakespeare, said. Who steals my purse with 50,000 in it steals trash. Trash, Robert. But he who filches from me my good name of Croshaw and substitutes the rotted one of Wurzel.
A matter of fact, WURZEL-FLUMMERY is a very good name. I seem to remember some Hampshire WURZEL-FLUMMERYs. It is a very laudable spirit on the part of a dying man to perpetuate these old English names. It all seems to me quite natural and straightforward. If I take this money, I shall have nothing to be ashamed of.
I see. Look here, may I ask you a few questions? I should like to know just how you feel about the whole business.
Go ahead.
Suppose a stranger came up in the street to you and said, "My poor man, here's £5 for you." What would you do? Tell him to go to the devil, I suppose, wouldn't you?
In more parliamentary language, perhaps, Richard, I should tell him I never took money from strangers.
Quite so. But that if it were £10,000, you would take it?
I most certainly shouldn't.
But if he died and left it to you, then you would.
Ah, I thought you were leading up to that. That, of course, is entirely different.
Why?
Well, wouldn't you take £10,000 if it was left to you by a stranger?
I dare say I should, but I should like to know why it would seem different.
Huh. Well, in the first place, when a man is dead, he wants his money no longer. You can therefore be certain that you are not taking anything from him which he cannot spare. And in the neat place, it is the man's dying wish that you should have the money. To refuse would be to refuse the dead. To accept becomes almost a sacred duty.
It really comes to this, doesn't it? You won't take it from him when he's alive, because if you did, you couldn't decently refuse him a little gratitude. But you know that it doesn't matter a damn to him what happens to his money after he's dead, and therefore you can take it without feeling any gratitude at all.
No, I shouldn't put it like that.
I'm sure you wouldn't, Robert.
No doubt you can twist it about so that...
All right, we'll leave it at that and go on to the next point. Suppose a perfect stranger offered you £5 to part your hair down the middle, shave off your mustache.
Now you are... Oh, sorry.
Alright, we leave that and go on to the next point. Suppose a perfect stranger offered you £5 to part your hair down the middle, shave off your mustache, and wear only one whisker. If he met you suddenly in the street, seemed to dislike your appearance, took out a fiver and begged you to hurry off and alter yourself, of course you'd pocket the money and go straight to a barber's.
Now you are merely being offensive.
I beg your pardon, I should have said that if he had left you £5 in his will, well, and £20, £100, £1,000, £50,000. It's only a question of price. £50,000, Robert. A pink tie with purple spots, hair across the back, trousers with a patch in the fall myself, WURZEL-FLUMMERY, any old thing you like. You can't insult me. Anything you like, gentlemen, for £50,000. Only you must leave it in your will, and then I can feel that it is a sacred duty, my lords and gentlemen. He sinks back into the sofa and relights his pipe.
It is evidently useless to prolong this conversation.
No, Robert, I have finished. I just took the other side and I got carried away. I ought to have been at the bar.
You take such extraordinary views of things. You must look the facts in the face, Richard. This is the modern world, and we are modern people living in it. To take the matter of fact view, you may like or dislike the name of WURZEL-FLUMMERY, but you can't get away from the fact that £50,000 is not to be sneezed at.
I don't know why people shouldn't sneeze at money sometimes. I should like to start a society for sneezing at £50,000. We'd have to begin in a small way, of course. We'd begin by sneezing at £5 and work up. The trouble is that we are all inoculated in our cradles against that kind of cold.
You will have your little joke, but you know as well as I do it is only a joke. There can be no serious reason why I should not take this money. And I gather that you don't think it will affect my career?
Not a bit. It'll help it. It'll get you into all the comic papers. Margaret comes in at this moment to the relief of Crawshaw, who is not quite certain if he's been flattered or insulted again.
Well, have you told him?
I have heard the news, Mrs. Crawshaw, and I have told Robert my opinion that he should have no difficulty in making the name of WURZEL-FLUMMERY as famous as he already made that of Crawshaw. At any rate, I hope he will.
How nice of you, Crochet. Well, it's said and done then.
Well, it's settled then. This solicitor fellow should be here soon. Perhaps, after all, we can marry something about, Oh, Viola, did you want your mother?
Enter Viola.
Sorry, do I interrupt a family meeting? Oh, there's Richard, so it can't be very serious.
What a reputation.
Well, it's over now.
Viola had better know, hadn't she?
She'll have to know sometime, of course.
Of course she will. So you'd better tell her now. I knew there was something exciting going on this morning.
Huh. Perhaps you'd better tell her, dear.
Father has come into some property, Viola. It means changing our name, unfortunately, but your father doesn't think it will matter.
How thrilling! What is the name, Mother?
Your father says it is. Dear me, I shall never remember it.
Dick, you tell me. Nobody else will.
Robert said it just now.
That wasn't a name, was it? I thought it was just Oh, do say it again, Viola.
WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
Do you spell it like that? I mean, like a Wurzel and like Flummery.
Exactly, I believe.
Mrs. Miss Viola WURZEL-FLUMMERY. I mean, they'd have to look at you, wouldn't they? Oh, Dick, what a heavenly name!
They're an old Hampshire family. That is so, isn't it, Robert?
I said I thought that I remembered. Margaret, can you find the book there?
Well, Viola, you haven't told us how you like being Miss WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
I haven't realised myself yet, Mummy. I shall have to stand in front of my glass and tell myself who I am.
It's all right for you. You know you'll change your name one day and that it won't matter what you've been called before.
Shh. Oh, won't it? It's got to appear in the papers. A marriage has been arranged between Miss Viola WURZEL-FLUMMERY. And everyone will say, and about time too, poor girl.
Have you found it, dear?
This is the 1912 edition.
Still, dear, if it's a very old family, it ought to be in by then.
I don't mind how old it is. I think it's lovely. Oh, Dick, what fun it will be being announced. Just think of the footman throwing open the door and saying,
Mr. Dennis Clifton.
There is a little natural confusion as Clifton enters jauntily in his summer suit and with a bundle of papers under his arm. Crawshaw goes forward towards him and shakes hands.
How do you do, Mr. Clifton? Very good of you to come. It is Mr. Dennis Clifton, the solicitor?
It is. I must apologize for not looking the part more, but my clothes did not arrive from Clarkson's in time. Very careless of them when they had promised. And my clerk dissuaded me from the side whiskers which I keep by me for these occasions.
Yes, quite so. But you have, full legal authority to act in this matter?
Oh, decidedly. Oh, there's no question of that.
My wife and daughter. And my friend, Mr. Richard Merriton.
Dear me, Mr. Merriton, too? This is quite a situation, as we say in the profession.
In the legal profession.
In the theatrical profession. I am a writer of plays, Mrs. Crawshaw. I'm not giving away a professional secret when I tell you that most of the managers in London have thanked me for submitting my work to them.
I understood, Mr. Clifton, that you were the solicitor employed to wind up the affairs of the late Mr. Anthony Clifton.
Oh, certainly. Oh, there's no doubt about my being a solicitor. My clerk, a man of the utmost integrity, not to say probity, would give me a reference. I am in the books. I belong to the Law Society, but my heart turns elsewhere. Officially, I have embraced the profession of a solicitor, but you know what these official embraces are.
I'm afraid.
Unofficially, Mr. Merriton, I am wedded to the Muses.
Oh, Dick, isn't he lovely?
Quite so. But just for the moment, Mr. Clifton, I take it that we are concerned with legal business. Should I ever wish to produce a play, the case would be different.
Admirably put. Pray regard me entirely as the solicitor for as long as you wish. Mr. Dennis Clifton was superb as a solicitor. In spite of an indifferent make-up, his manner of taking off his gloves and dropping them into his hat.
I think perhaps Val and I...
We'll leave you to your business, Robert.
Just one moment, if I may. I have a letter for you, Mr. Merriton.
For me?
Yes, my clerk, a man of the utmost integrity. Oh, but I said that before. He took it round to your rooms this morning, but found only painters and decorators there. I brought it along, hoping that Mr. Crawshaw, but of course I never expected anything so delightful as this.
Thanks.
Oh, but do read it now, won't you? One so rarely has an opportunity of being present when one's own letters are read. I think the habit they have on the stage of reading letters aloud to others is such a very delightful one.
Richard, with a smile and a shrug, has opened his letter while Clifton is talking. Good lord.
What is it?
199 Lincoln's Inn Fields. Dear Sir, I have the pleasure to inform you that under the will of the late Mr. Anthony Clifton, you are beneficiary of the extent of £50,000.
Dick!
A trifling condition is attached, namely that you should take the name of WURZEL-FLUMMERY. Clifton, with his hand on his heart, bows gracefully from one to the other.
Possible. Why should he leave any money to you?
Dick, how wonderful!
I don't remember ever having had a morning quite like this.
Is this a joke, Mr. Clifton?
Oh, the money is there, all right. My clerk, a man of the utmost.
Then I refuse it. I'll have nothing to do with it. I won't even argue about it. That's what I think of our money. He stalks indignantly from the room.
Dick! Oh, but Mother, he mustn't! Oh, I must tell him.
She hurries
Really?
after him.
Really, Mr. Clifton, I'm surprised at you.
She goes out too.
And now, Mr. Crawshaw, we are alone.
Yes. Well, I think, Mr. Clifton, you have a good deal to explain.
My dear sir, I'm longing to begin. I have been looking forward to this day for weeks. I spent over an hour this morning dressing for it. Perhaps I'd better begin from the beginning.
The documents in the case?
Oh dear, no, just something to carry in the hand. It makes one look more like a solicitor. Watherston v. Towser, in Great Missenden Canal Company. My clerk invents the titles, it keeps him busy. He's very fond of Towser. Towser is always coming in. You see, Mr. Crawshaw, this is my first real case, and I only got it because Anthony Clifton is my uncle. My efforts to introduce a little picturesqueness into the dull formalities of the law do not meet with the response that one would have expected.
Yes, well, I am a busy man, and if you could tell me as shortly as possible as to why your uncle left this money to me, and apparently Mr. Meriton too, under these extraordinary conditions, I shall be obliged to you.
Say no more, Mr. Crawshaw. I look forward to being entirely frank with you. It will be a pleasure.
You understand, of course, my position. I think I may say that I am not without reputation in the country, and as proud as I am to accept this sacred trust, this money with which the late Mr. Anthony Clifton has seen fit, one cannot see why, to bequeath me. Yet the use of the name WURZEL-FLUMMERY would be excessively awkward.
Excessively?
My object in seeing you was to inquire if it was absolutely essential that the name should go with the money.
Well, you may have the name without the money if you like, but you must have the name.
Ah. Of course, I have nothing against the name. A good old Hampshire name.
But, my dear Mr. Crawshaw, you didn't think... you didn't really think that anybody had been called WURZEL-FLUMMERY before. Oh, no, no. You and Mr. Meriton were to be the first, the founders of the clan, the designers of the WURZEL-FLUMMERY sporran.
What do you mean, sir? Are you telling me that it is not a real name at all?
Oh, it's a name, all right. I know it is, because, I made it up.
And you have the impudence to propose, sir, that I should take a made-up name?
Well, all names are made up sometime or other. Somebody had to think of, Adam.
I warn you, Mr. Clifton, that I do not allow this trifling with serious subjects.
It's all so simple, really. You see, my Uncle Anthony was a rather unusual man. He despised money. He was not afraid to put it in its proper place. The place he put it in was a little below golf and a little above classical concerts. If a man said to him, "Would you like to make 50,000 this afternoon?" he would say, well, it would depend what he was doing. If he were going to have a round at Walton Heath, and
It is perfectly scandalous to talk of money in this way.
well, that's how he talked about it. But he didn't find money to agree with him. In fact, he used to say that there was nothing, however contemptible, that a man would not do for money. One day I suggested that if he left a legacy with a sufficiently foolish name attached to it, somebody might be found to refuse it. He laughed at the idea, and that put me on my mettle. 2 people, I said, leave the same silly name to 2 people. 2 well-known people, rival politicians, say, men whose own names are already public property. Surely they wouldn't both take it. That touched him. "Ah, Dennis, my boy, you've got it," he said. "Upon what vile bodies shall we experiment?" We decided on you and Mr. Meriton. The next thing was to choose the name. I started on the wrong lines. I began by suggesting names like Porker, Tosh, Bug, Spiffkins, the obvious sort. My uncle,
How dare you discuss me with your uncle, sir? How dare you decide in this cold-blooded way whether I am to be called a Tosh or a Porker?
My uncle wouldn't bear of Tosh or Porker. He wanted a humorous name, a name he could roll lovingly round his tongue, a name expressing a sort of humorous contempt. WURZEL-FLUMMERY. I can see now the happy, ruminating smile which came so often on my Uncle Anthony's face in those latter months. He was thinking of his 2 WURZEL-FLUMMERYs. I remember him saying once, it was at the zoo, what a pity it was he hadn't enough to divide among the whole cabinet. A whole bunch of WURZEL-FLUMMERYs. I would have been rather jolly.
You force me to say, sir, that if that was the way you and your uncle used to talk together at his death can only be described as a merciful intervention of Providence.
Oh, but I think he must be enjoying all this somewhere, you know. Oh, I hope he is. He would have loved this morning. It was his one regret that from the necessities of the case he could not live to enjoy his own joke. But he had hopes that echoes of it would reach him wherever he might be. It was with some such idea, I fancy, that toward the end he became interested in spiritualism.
Mr. Clifton, I have no interest in the present whereabouts of your uncle, nor in what it means he has of overhearing a private conversation between you and myself. But if, as you irreverently suggest, he is listening to us, I should like him to hear this. That in my opinion, you are not a qualified solicitor at all, that you never had an uncle, and that the whole story of the will and the ridiculous condition attached to it is just a tomfool joke of a man, by his own admission, who wastes most of his time writing unsuccessful farces. And I propose...
Pardon my interrupting, but you said farces, not farces. Comedies of a whimsical nature.
What whatever they were, sir, I propose to report the whole matter to the Law Society. And you know your way out, sir.
Then I am to understand that you refuse the legacy, Mr. Crawshaw.
What's that?
Oh, I am to understand that you refuse the £50,000?
If the money is really there, I most certainly do not refuse it.
Oh, the money is most certainly there. And the name. Both waiting for you.
Then, sir, I accept them. I feel it is my duty to accept them as a public expression of confidence in the late Mr. Clifton motives. I repudiate entirely the motives that you have suggested to him, and I consider it a sacred duty to show what I think of your story by accepting the trust which has been bequeathed to me. You will arrange further matters with my solicitor. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Crawshaw here drank a glass of water. Mr. WURZEL-FLUMMERY, farewell. May I express the parting wish that your future career will add fresh lustre to my name. Exit Mr. Dennis Clifton with dignity.
But he has left his papers behind him. Crawshaw, walking indignantly back to the sofa, sees the papers and picks them up.
Wofferson v. Towser, in re Great Missenden Canal Company. Bah!
He tears them up and throws them into the fire. He goes back to his writing table and is seated there as Viola, followed by Meriton, comes in.
Father, Dick doesn't want to take the money, but I have told him that of course he must. He must, mustn't he?
We needn't jack Robert into it, Viola.
If Richard has the very natural feeling that it would be awkward for me if there were two WURZEL-FLUMMERYs in the House of Commons, I should be the last to interfere with his decision. In any case, I don't see what concern of yours it is, Viola.
But how can we get married if he doesn't take the money?
Married? What does this mean, Richard?
I'm sorry it has to come out like this. We ought to have told you before, but anyhow, we are going to have told you in a day or so. Viola and I want to get married.
What did you want to get married on?
Not very much, I'm afraid.
We're all right now, Father, because we shall have £50,000.
Oh, Viola.
But naturally, this puts a very different complexion on matters.
So of course he must take it, mustn't he, Father?
I can hardly suppose, Richard, that you expect me to entrust my daughter to a man who is so little provident for himself that he throws £50,000 away because of some fanciful objection to the name that goes with it.
You don't understand, Robert.
I understand this, Richard, that if the name is good enough for me, it should be good enough for you. You don't mind asking Viola to take your name, but you consider it an insult if you are asked to take my name.
Do you want to be Mrs. WURZEL-FLUMMERY?
Well, I'm going to be Miss WURZEL-FLUMMERY anyhow, darling.
Heaven help me. You'll make me take it, but you'll never understand.
Come, Richard. I understand perfectly. All that you were saying about money a little while ago, it's all perfectly true. It's all just what I feel myself. But in practice, we have to make allowances sometimes. We have to sacrifice our ideals for, others. I shall be very proud to have you for a son-in-law. I feel that there will be two of us in Parliament together upholding the honour of the, name. And perhaps, now that we are so closely related, you may come to feel someday that your views could be more adequately put forward from my side of the house.
Go on, Robert, I deserve it.
Well, well. Margaret will be interested in our news. And you must send that solicitor a line, or perhaps a telephone message would be better. Yes, I think the telephone, Richard. It would be safer.
Come here, Mrs. WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
Not Mrs. WURZEL-FLUMMERY, Mrs. Dick. And soon, please, darling.
I don't know what I've done, Viola, but you are worth it. And God help me if I ever stop thinking so. Enter Mr. Dennis Clifton. He sees them and walks about very tactfully with his back towards them, humming to himself. Hello?
Now, where did I put those papers? Now, where? Oh, I beg your pardon. I left some papers behind.
Dick, you'll tell him. Goodbye, Mr. Clifton, and thank you for writing such nice letters.
Goodbye, Miss Crawshaw.
Just say it to see how it sounds.
Goodbye, Miss WURZEL-FLUMMERY.
No, not Miss. Mrs.
You don't mean...
Yes, and I'm taking the money after all, Mr. Clifton.
Dear me, what a situation! I wonder how a rough scenario would strike the managers.
Poor Mr. Clifton.
Why poor?
You missed all the best part. You didn't hear what I said to Crawshaw about money before you came.
Oh, was it very... but I expect Uncle Anthony heard. Well, I must be getting on. I wonder if you've noticed any important papers lying around in connection with the Great Missenden Canal Company? A most intricate case in which my clerk and I,
He has murmured to himself across to the fireplace, and the fragments of his important case suddenly catch his eye. He picks up one of the fragments.
Ah, yes. Well, I shall tell my clerk that we lost the case. He'll be sorry. He got quite fond of that canal. So, you're taking the money, Mr. Meriton?
Yeah,
And Mr. Crawshaw too?
yes.
They are both taking it. Ah, good old Uncle Anthony. He knew. He knew.
Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did, because just speaking for myself, that was a lot of fun. And now we are going into our short intermission. So I'll say we'll take about 15 minutes. And come back at around 22:35 Brit time, or wherever that is where you are. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Thank you for listening to the first half, and there is more to come. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us again, and we hope that you have had a very nice, very relaxing intermission. We start off with something very special. It is a piece of our wonderful Logan's own devising. And this piece is a thrilling adaptation of a letter from Michelangelo to one of his friends. And Logan is going to share this with us now. So take it away.
So to preface this, I ask you all to imagine that there is some somber piano music playing in the back of your mind, perhaps, you know, something that you might hear on a very sad rainy day. I've already grown a goiter from this torture, hunched up here like a bingus in Los Angeles, or anywhere else where the water does not exist. My stomach squashed under bento, my beard's pointing at heaven, my brain's crushed by a cat, my breast clawed as if by a harpy. My brush, above me all the time, dribbles paint, so my face makes a fine floor for droppings. His haunches are grinding into my guts, his fat ass strains to work as a counterweight, every gesture I make is blind and aimless. His primordial pouch hangs loose below him, my spine's all knotted from folding over itself. I'm bent taut as a Syrian bow. Because I'm stuck like this, my thoughts are crazy, perfidious tripe. Man door, hand, hook, car door. My painting is bonked. Defend it for me, INKEY. Protect my honor. I'm not in the right place. I am not a painter. Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us, Logan. That was amazing. Now, our next act, which I should probably not be so confused about because it is actually me, is essentially, as well as doing Croakspear type things, I also do some storytelling. So I tell folk tales in my own words, and it's sort of oral folk tales that have passed down to from generation to generation. So basically, I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you this evening. With a very short story called The Crane and the Peacock. It's by Aesop, who you will probably have heard of for his fables, and this is one of those. So here I go. The peacock strutted underneath the burning sun, his feathers fanned out, reflecting the light coming from the sky, shining, glimmering, perfect. He strutted down to take a drink from the river, all the time making sure every feather was kept in place. Next to the river, also going down for one of his many drinks of the day, was the crane, standing and enjoying himself in the sun next the cool water. The peacock looked up and down at the crane, looked at his dull grey feathers, and he looked the crane straight in the eye, sneered as much as someone with a beak can sneer, and said, huh, look at you looking in the river, look at you preening. You haven't got anything to preen about. Look at your feathers. They're all dull. They look like they're dirty. And look at you, look at you. You don't have the same stature that I do. You don't have the same beauty that I do. If I'm honest, mate, I think you look a little bit cheap. Get it? 'Cause we're birds. The crane surveyed the peacock for a little, but let him continue his tirade. And tirade the peacock did. He went through the crane's aesthetic faults as far as he saw them, how the crane was not as proud as him, not as sophisticated as him, how the crane was just generally a lesser bird. Throughout the whole of this, the crane remained silent. Not really that he could have got a word in edgeways anyway, but he stood by the river having a drink, having a preen, and listening to the peacock. And once the peacock had finally run out of breath and his throat was hoarse from all the disparagement, the crane turned to the other bird, looked him in the eye, and with no words, stretched out his wings and took off. And the peacock stood, and the crane started to fly, whirling and gambling through the azure sky until he was just a speck on the horizon, until he was out of sight. And all that the peacock could do was stand and watch, grounded. Thank you very much. That is my little story. And the next thing that we have on our schedule tonight is from an excerpt from A Midsummer Night's Dream. We're going back to our old favourite Shakespeare here, and we're doing a section from Act 5, Scene 1, and that section is the play within a play. So, without further ado, I will hand over to our narrator.
Thank you, Sarah. To the flourish of trumpets, Quince enters as the prologue.
If we offend, it is with our good will. That you should think we come not to offend, but with good will. To show our simple skill, that is the true beginning of our end. Oh. Consider then we come but in despite. We do not come as minding to contest you, our true intent is. All for your delight, we are not here. That you should here repent you, the actors are at hand, and by their show you shall know all that you are like to know.
This fella doth not stand upon point.
He hath read his prologue like a rough colt. He knows not the stop. A good moral, my lord. It is not enough to speak, but to speak true.
Indeed, he hath played on his prologue like a child on a recorder, a sound, but not in government.
His speech was like a tangled chain, nothing impaired, but all disordered. Who's next?
Pyramus and Thisbe, Wall, Moonshine, and Lion all enter.
Gentles, perchance you wonder at this show, but wonder on till truth make all things plain. This man is Pyramus, if you would know. This beauteous lady Thisbe is certain. This man with lime and rough cast doth present Wall, that vile wall which did these lovers sunder. And through wall's chink, poor souls, they are content to whisper, at the which let no man wonder. This man, with lanthorn, dog, and bush of thorn, presenteth moonshine. For, if you will know, by moonshine did these lovers think no scorn to meet at Ninus' tomb there to woo. This grisly beast which Lionheart by name, the trusty Thisbe, coming first by night, did scare away, or rather did affright. And, as she fled, her mantle she did fall, which lion vile with bloody mouth did stain. Anon comes Pyramus, sweet youth and tall, and finds his trusty Thisbe's mantle slain. Whereat, with bloody blameful blade, he bravely broached his boiling bloody breast. And Thisbe, tarrying in mulberry shade, his dagger drew, and died. For all the rest, let lion, moonshine, wall, and lovers twain at large discourse, while here they do remain.
And the prologue, Thisbe, Lion, and Moonshine all leave again.
Wonder if the lion be to speak.
One lion may when many asses do. In the same interlude it doth befall that I, once loud by name, present a wall. And such a wall as I would have you think, that had it crannied hole or chink, through which the lovers Pyramus and Thisbe did whisper, often very secretly. This loam, this rough cast, and this stone doth show that I am that same wall. The truth is so, and this the cranny is, right and sinister, through which the fearful lovers are to whisper.
Do you desire Lyman here to speak better?
It is the wittiest partition that ever I heard discourse, my lord.
Pyramus enters.
Hermes draws near the wall. Silence!
Oh, Grimlock Knight! Oh, night with hue so black! Oh, nights! Whichever art when day is not. Oh, night! Alack, alack, alack! I fear my Thisbe's promise is forgot. And thou, O wall, O sweet, O lovely wall, that standst between her father's ground and mine, thou wall, O sweet and lovely wall, show me thy chink to blink through with mine eye.
Wall holds up his fingers.
Thanks, courteous wall. Jove shield thee well for this. But what see I? No Thisbe do I see, O wicked wall, through whom I see no bliss. Cursed be thy stones for thus deceiving me.
The wall, methinks, being sensible, should curse again.
No, in truth, sir, he should not. Deceiving me is Thisbe's cue. She is to enter now, and I am to spy her through the wall. You shall see. It will fall pat, as I told you. Yonder she comes.
Thisbe enters.
Oh, wall, full often hast thou heard my moans, for parting my fair Pyramus and me. My cherry lips have often kissed thy stones with lime and turned it up in thee.
I see a voice. Now will I to the chink to spy, as I can hear my Thisbe's face. Thisbe!
My love thou art, my love I fain,
Think what thou wilt, I am thy lover's grace, and like Lamander, am I trusty still?
and I like Helen, till the fates me kill.
Not Cephalus to Proscus was so true.
As Cephalus to Procrus, I to you.
Oh, kiss me through the hole of this vile wall.
I kiss the wall's hole, not your lips at all.
Wilt thou at Ninny's tomb meet me straightway?
Thy life, thy death, I come without delay.
Pyramus and Thisbe exit.
Thus have I, wall, my part discharged so. And being done, thus wall, away doth go.
And Wall also exits.
How is the mural down between the two neighbours?
No remedy, my lord, when walls are so willful to hear without warning.
This is the silliest stuff that ever I heard.
The best in this kind are but shadows, and the worst are no worse, if imagination amend them.
It must be your imagination then, and not theirs.
If we imagine no worse of them than they of themselves, they may pass for excellent men. Ah, here come two noble beasts in, a man and a lion.
Enter Lion and Moonshine.
You, you ladies, whose gentle hearts do fear the smallest monstrous mouse that creeps on the floor, may now perchance both quake and tremble here, when lion rough in wildest rage doth roar. Then know that I, one snug the joiner am, a lion fell, nor else no lion's dam. For if I should as lion come in strife into this place, 'twere pity on my life.
Very gentle beast of a good conscience.
The very best at a beast, my lord, that I ever saw.
This lion is a very fox for his valor.
True, and a goose for his discretion.
Not so, my lord. For his valor cannot carry his discretion, and the fox carries the goose.
His discretion, I am sure, cannot carry his valour, for the goose carries not the fox. It is well, leave it to his discretion and let us listen to the moon.
Lanthorn, doth the horned moon present?
He should have worn the horns on his head.
He is no crescent, and his horns are invisible within the circumference.
This Lanthorn, doth the horned moon present? Myself, the man in the moon, do seem to be.
Oh, this is the greatest error of all the rest. The man should be put into the lanthorn. How is it else the man in the moon?
He dares not come there for the candle. For, you see, It is already in snuff.
I am awary of this moon. What he would change.
It appears, by his small light of discretion, that he is in the wane. But yet, in courtesy, in all reason, we must stay the time.
Proceed, Moon.
All that I have to say is to tell you that the Lanthorn is the moon, I, the man in the moon, this thorn bush, my thorn bush, and this dog, my dog.
Why? All these should be in the lanthorn, for all these are in the moon. But silence. Here comes Thisbe.
Thisbe enters.
This is old Ninny's tomb. Where is my love?
Oh.
And Thisbe runs away.
Well roared, lion.
Well run, Thisbe!
A well-shown moon. Truly, the moon shines with a good grace.
The lion shakes Thisbe's mantle and exits.
Oh, well-mouthed lion.
And so the lion vanished.
Then came Pyramus.
Pyramus enters.
Sweet moon, I thank thee for thy sunny beams. I thank thee, moon, for shining now so bright. For by thy gracious golden glittering gleams I trust to take a thrust to truest Thisbe's sight. But stay, O spite, but mark, poor knight, for dreadful dole is here. Eyes, do you see? How can it be? O dainty duck, O dear, thy mantle good. What stained with blood? Approach, ye furies fell. O fates, come, come, cut, threat, and thrum, quail, crush, concluded and quell.
This passion and the death of a dear friend would go near to make a man look sad.
Beshrew my heart, but I pity the man.
Or wherefore, nature, didst thou lion's frame? Since lion vile hath here deflowered my dear, which is, no, which was the fairest dame, that lived, that loved, that liked, that looked with cheer. Come, tears, confound, out, sword and wound, the pap of Pyramus, I the left pap, where heart does hop.
He stabs himself.
Thus die I, thus, thus, thus. Now am I dead, now am I fled. My soul is in the sky. Tongue, loose thy light. Moon, take thy flight.
Moonshine leaves.
Now die, 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 die.
And he's dead.
No die but an ace for him, for he is but one.
An ace man, for he is dead. He's nothing.
With the help of a surgeon, he might yet recover and prove an ass.
How chance Moonshine is gone before Thisbe comes back and finds her lover?
She'll find him by starlight. See, here she comes, and her passion ends the play.
Thisbe re-enters.
Methinks she should not use a long one for such a Pyramus. I hope she will be brief.
Both will turn the balance, which Pyramus, which Thisbe is the better. He is for a man, God warrant us. She is for a woman, God bless us.
You have spied him already with those sweet eyes.
And thus she means Fidelice.
Asleep, my love? What? Dead, my love? Oh, Pyramus arise. Speak, speak. Quite damp? Dead, dead. A tomb must cover thy sweet eyes. These my lips, this cherry nose, these yellow cold-lipped cheeks are gone. Argon. Lovers make moan, his eyes were green as lakes. Oh, sisters free, come to me. With hands as pale as milk, lay them in gore, since you have shore with shears his thread of silk. Tongue, not a word. Come, trusty sword. Come, blade, my breast imbue.
She stabs herself.
And farewell, friends. 'Tis this be ends. Adieu, adieu, adieu.
She dies.
Moonshine and Lion left to bury their dead.
Aye. And Wall too.
No, assure you, the wall is down that parted their fathers. Will it please you to see the epilogue and to hear a burgomask dance between two of our company?
No epilogue, I pray you. For your play needs no excuse, never excuse. For when the players are all dead, there needs none to be blamed. Marry, if he that writ it had played Pyramus and hanged himself in Thisbe's garter, would have been a fine tragedy. And so it is, truly, and very notably discharged. But come, your burgomask, let your epilogue alone.
They all dance.
The iron tongue of midnight hath told 12. Lovers, to bed! 'Tis almost fairy time. I fear we shall outsleep the coming morn, as much as we this night have overwatched. This palpable gross play hath well beguiled the heavy gait of night. Sweet friends, to bed! A fortnight hold we this solemnity in nightly revels and new jollity.
And everyone leaves.
Right. Thank you very much, everybody. Again, a lot of fun, a lot of fun to do. And yeah, it's always a fun one to play within a play. Right. So our next act is a monologue from Julius Caesar, again by good old William Shakespeare. It's the Friends, Romans, and Countrymen speak, and it will be performed again by our amazing Dasher.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus have told you Caesar was ambitious. If it was so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously have Caesar answered it. Here, on the leaf of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men, come I to speak at Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did decent Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff, yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me.
Thank you very much, Dasha. That was a great reading of a great speech. So yes, thank you for sharing that with us. So, finally today, to just wrap up what has been a lovely evening of lots of different acts and lots of different people, will be just an ending monologue. Now, we've chosen the ending monologue from the Tempest, and we're all going to read it together with you as a company. So, here we are, the ending monologue from the Tempest, Act 5, Scene 1. Now my charms are all o'erthrown, and what strength I have's my own.
What is most faint, now 'tis true, I must be here confined by you.
Or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got.
And pardoned the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell.
But release me from my bands with the help of your good hands.
Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails.
Which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant.
And my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer.
Which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all faults.
As you from crimes would pardoned be, let your indulgence set me free.
Wahoo!
We did it! Right. Okay. That was a lot of fun. Thank you everybody for joining in and watching. We're now going to do what we usually do at the end of these sort of events, and we are going to go down the cast list and just sort of like, let everybody say everything and also give everybody a round of applause. So the first on our list we have is Tinker. So, yep, Tinker.
Hi, so I just wanna say that thank you to everyone that appeared tonight. And I just wanna like give big thanks because like it's the second anniversary, so I just wanna give big thanks to Alan for creating it. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have Weak Boson.
Oh, hello. Yes, I played a serving man and did some narration. Yes, it's been so much fun to do these things as always, and it's crazy that it's been 2 years of our illustrious company, and I hope we do many more fun things. And I love you all very much, and it's been so much fun. Hooray for Croak! Wahoo!
Woohoo!
Hooray for
Woohoo!
Croak!
Wahoo!
Hooray for Croak! Wahoo!
And next up we have Ellie.
Hi, so I played Viola and also played Theseus. It's been a hella fun 2 years. Can't believe I can't believe it's been 2 years, honestly. I don't feel like I've aged at all. No, it's been such a wondrous 2 years working with everyone to do all the really fun plays and stuff that we have done. And, acting has been one of my big passions for a while. And it's just really nice that I can still kind of pursue that online with such an amazing community of people. And I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Oh. Next up, we have Nicola.
Hi, I'm Nicola, and I am glad that this server, this beautiful community has its second birthday. I genuinely didn't expect that, but I hope that it persists as long as it can. On to the next year, full of plays.
Woo! Okay. Next up, we have Akane.
Hi. Wow. Thank you all. Let's see. God, who did I play? I was Hippolyta and the wonderful Quince prologue in Midsummer Night's Dream. I was Clifton in WURZEL-FLUMMERY, and then most importantly, above all else, I was none other than Citizen in CORIOLANUS, of course. God, there's too many thanks and happy anniversary notes to fit into a tiny little ending speech, but thank you, Elen, for everything from day one of the server. Thank you, Ray, for again everything. We'll get to you later as well. Imagine, and thank you, Sarah, for being such a wonderful and excellent host for all of today. And a special thank you to, I guess, everyone who's ever been involved in a Croak play, whether participating in this anniversary event or not. I'm happy that we've all managed to make Croak into the great and overwhelmingly cool community, not just for plays, but also just for hangouts that it is right now. And thank you all for being not just my cherished co-cast, but my cherished friends as well. I have nothing to plug, save for a tiny little Twitter account. Just a little bot, hangs out on Twitter. It's called Jellicle Bot, Jellicle Names for Jellicle Cats. It generates random Jellicle cat names every 3 hours. I'll link it in the Twitch chat. Have fun with it. Thank you all. On to 1, 2, 3, however many more years of Crookspear fun.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we have Logan, and yeah, go ahead, Logan.
Hi, I'm Logan. I played I painted the bonks on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. I I was meant to be here tomorrow to be part of this for you guys. But as it turns out, it was actually today and not tomorrow. So there's that. I'll one of these days I will play Bottom, the role I was meant to play. But for now, I have really appreciated these wonderful 2 years I've gotten to share with you guys, and I hope for so many more. To be able to just laugh and make art, do lots of plays. This is really somewhere where I'm so glad that I get to be. Um, and every last one of you, you're special. And I don't really have anything to plug, but I do wish everybody, the safety and just like for things to improve and everything in the future. If you are celebrating Rosh Hashanah, Shana Tova to you, and I will give it up for the next one of us.
Yeah, Logan.
Clap, 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 clap,
Woo!
clap, clap.
Okay, and next we have Dasha.
Do we? um, I honestly can't remember everything I did today because like I went a little bit overboard because I think the last time I participated was like the last anniversary, so I think I was just compensating for something. Well, that was great, wonderful 2 years, and I hope for many more. Like, would be cool to celebrate like a 10th anniversary. Imagine that. Aww. I shouldn't read chat. um, Thank you everyone who organized this event and this company in general. It was wonderful, and I love it here. Bye.
Clap, 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 clap.
Okay, before I move on to Cillian, I just want to also shout out Julie, who had to drop off the stream, but Julie was in quite the few of the plays today, so I just want to get everyone to give a not here round of applause to Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Love it.
Quack, 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 quack.
Okay, so next up is Cillian.
Yes. Hi. Hello. This was a lot of fun. I got to be held at knife point as Coriolanus in a very homoerotic, sexually charged scene that went enemies to lovers real fast. And that was a great amount of fun. And then I got to steal the role of Bottom from Logan. Sorry, Logan. But
No
I
hard
also
feelings.
but I had a lot of fun being Bottom, despite barely remembering how he's supposed to be. So that was great. Thank you for having this be a thing, everyone. Thank you for just being around and together with all of us do some ridiculousness and play some fun stuff. It's been some good 2 years, and I hope we can continue to do it for a while longer. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Clap, 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 clap.
Okay. The next person I would like to shout out, you will not have heard this evening, but you will have seen their wonderful art on every single screen, and that is Ray. So Ray is our amazing host, making sure that all the technical stuff doesn't fall apart, which is a job in itself. But also our wonderful artist who has put lots of work into wonderful artworks for today's anniversary, and indeed many streams that we've done in the past. So I just want to give Ray a big shout out and a round of applause.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Ray.
And then finally, I was also there. I did some hosting, I did some acting, and I just wanted to say basically echo what everyone else has been saying. I can't believe it's been 2 years, but it's been a great 2 years. I want to just say thanks to the org team who put so much work into every play we do. And thank you everyone here for making tonight so much fun. And just basically everyone on the Croak server. It's an absolutely lovely place. I've made so many friends in the last 2 years, and yeah, love you all. And it's just, I'm so glad that we're celebrating 2 years of such an amazing server, an amazing group of people. And yeah, here's to many more years of the same.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah.
Go, Sarah!
Yeah.
Okay, well that is about it from us. We're going to go now. I hope that anyone who has been listening has enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day at whichever point in the day it is for you. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody again later on, where we should have some more plays to do and some more just general fun and general silliness. So we hope that you'll join us for that. And
Follow
yeah,
Prospero on Twitter. Follow Prospero on Twitch.
also follow on Twitch, Twitter, and anything else that I've forgotten.
Silence speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy CROAKIVERSARY!
Happy CROAKIVERSARY!
Happy CROAKIVERSARY!